and I welcome our secretary, Dr. Gunasaran sir, for this meeting. Next, I welcome our principal, Dr. Madheswaran, to this program. I welcome our joint secretary, and I welcome all the deans and heads of the department and faculty members and student community of our college to this program. Welcome you all. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Welcome the participants. Thank you one and all.
Thank you so much, sir. It's time to introduce the chief guest and resource person. I request the coordinator of the program, Dr. N. Naveen Kumar, to introduce the chief guest. Please, sir.
Yeah, very good afternoon to all. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to introduce our chief guest, Manjaya sir. I give the introduction about Manjaya sir. Dr. Manjaya is a professor and chairman in the Department of Computer Science. Presently, the chairman of Board of Studies in Computer Science, Faculty Science and Technology at Mangalore University. He has done his PhD in the area of Advanced Network Computing Paradigm and completed his MTech from National Institute of Technology, Karnataka, Surathkal, being involved in teaching and research more than 25 years. He has produced very valuable 15 PhD scholars who are all currently working in reputed organizations and educational institutions in India and overseas. Presently, 8+2 scholars are undertaking research under his supervision. He has technologically progressive the novel awareness of routing algorithms for mobile ad hoc networks, vertical handoff mechanics for 4G networks, and enhancement of digital forensic laboratory in India. He also has immense knowledge of handling large scales of research projects sponsored by various funding agencies like UGC, DST, SERB, SERB, and DST, BGST. He has delivered around 195 invited and keynote talks in several international conferences, symposium, workshops, and training sessions in India and abroad. He has authorized and published around 136 in reputed international and national journals and conferences on various topics in mobile ad hoc networks, IPv4 and IPv6 mobility, machine learning and deep learning, virtualization using cloud computing, cyber security, and digital forensics. Thank you, sir.
We are having an eminent scholar with us. Now I am giving the dais to Dr. Manjaya. Manjaya sir, please take over the dais.
Okay, fine, Professor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome, Professor. Welcome. My slides are okay, visible to all?
PPT is visible, sir.
Visible, okay, fine. First of all, I am very thankful to the Uttayamal Engineering College, Rasipuram.
Sir?
Yeah.
Video officer.
I request, first of all, I request all the audience and kindly you have to turn off your video as well as the microphone, please. Sir. We'll proceed. First of all, I would like to thank the opportunity. Engineering College Authority, and special thanks to Dean Professor Ramar Sir, K. Ramar Sir, Dean of R&D, and the respected members and the audience present here. I'm so happy to give a nurture flow of an information which are very, very essentially required day-to-day activities, what we observed so far in a systematic manner. We need to understand the flow of an OS freely, flexibly available in 24/7, in which we can make use of facility and try to understand the real steps and try to insight most of the aspects which are very, very essential for our academic as well as research and developmental activities. I need to be a progressive, a very systematically mentioned to say in which way the great Microsoft Bill Gates product, Windows environment. Today what we are seeing like a Windows environment, is totally a license-oriented one, and moreover, which not a volatile and providing an extra phase in which we would like to go for enhancing our knowledge and innovative an idea which are going to be flow through the system of information which are available. And before I get into my talk very clearly, way back 3-4 decades, person does not work with a computing paradigm. A computer basically common sense, commonly usable, it's an optimal one, a materialistic one, performance one, universal one, and efficient one, and time sense one, highly resourceful one. Because in order to handle my ideas, our ideas, which are goes through the man-made machine, we can call it as like a system, laptop, desktop, palm top, whatnot, we are going to be coming up the level of a progressive knowledge from the transistor to vacuum tube. Then finally what we are seeing like a tiny devices, like IC circuit devices. See, we can see a complete information from the OS of understanding, not for the educationist, not for the faculty, not for the person well versed with the information technology, not for the computer science, not for the information science related. If a person moving, a layman, how he or she can understand what is meant by operating system. Generally, we can look forward a number of resources which are available on the device. If you take our partner like a cellular phone, a cell phone, mobile device, laptop, micro, whatever it may be the device which are available, there should be plenty of resources which are available, plenty of resources which are available. In order to manage, in order to admire, in order to make sure such a way that how which are going to be useful.
Sir, we are not able to see the presentation, sir. Sir, please, sir.
You can't see?
Yes, sir.
You can't see?
We are not able to see the presentation, sir.
No?
We are seeing only, sir, your photograph.
No?
No, sir.
Now also you can't. Just. That's why I told you. You can't see the presentation?
No, sir.
Okay. 1 minute. I'll make it. Sharing, I think, option. Now we can see, sir. Now, Professor?
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir. No, sir. No presentation, sir.
Okay. Just I'll get back to you. Probably some. Okay, 1 minute.
Madhya, sir?
Yeah, I'm getting it.
PPT is not visible, sir.
Okay, I'm just getting through that.
Yeah, full screen you can give.
Now is visible? Now
it is visible, sir.
Huh?
Okay, you could go ahead.
Now it's visible.
Yeah, visible.
Yes, sir.
No problem, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, fine. Thank you. See, things are very clear. See, OS, once you can understand easily in which way the resources which are available on the system. Memory, input-output concept, and the logical devices, peripherals, in which we are in a position to manage. For that, you used to use a set of instructions packages available, what you call like a softwares. Correct? No? You can give a very simple definition in order to understand a set of instructions in a user-friendly. Suppose I don't know anything, we don't know anything about, you press F1, it will give a clear help to us. Then you can follow up certainly, you can understand. That is a concept. That means a set of instructions, user-friendly packages available for managing, admiring various type of resources in the system. We can say OS easily. That means even though we studied various books from the computing paradigm like a Donovan book, Peterson book, Douglas, correct? No, number of books which very clearly specify what is meant by OS. But if what we are observing after 90s, correct? No, after 90s, because Bill Gates productivity like 95, 98, 2000, 2008, 2010, no Vista, and then finally what we are landing 2010. Even though we are in 2020, we are making use a certain. We can easily identify, we can find out a number of levels of the bugs which are available on the system, one to another. But my talk very clearly specifies, I'll give a brief introductory, what are all the concurrent, parallelly, which provides an extensive knowledge of a OS in the form of multi-programming, multitasking, multi-user, multi-processing environment. And that is the standard level of what we call Linux. Just these are the courses which are going to be just host usually, but I'll give a glimpse of an environment in which we can understand what is the level of how is going to be extracted and in which way they originated and level of the changes went on from the POSIX to UNIX, UNIX to the Multics, finally what we are landing at present like a Linux. See, Linux having a word called UNIX, you just observed in a sense, common sense, Linux having UNIX, you observe that one, there is a characters, you can easily get through that one. L stands for long Unix environment. But a great personality is a research scholar, is a creator, is an innovator, given a very clear picture about what are all the idea we can easily consider. And from that one, he given an enhancing 24/7, 365 days we can work that level of a documentation, and still you can find out where exactly we can enhance the flow of an information available in the environment of a Linux. Here what I'll give, just planning for installation is very easy concept, nothing to worry. Suppose if we have a minimum RAM of your system, laptop, desktop, palm top, whatever it may be, like we start from, we need not to go back like a Pentium. If you go with like i3, i7 quad core, dual core systems having like a minimum like a 4 GB, 8 GB RAM, and similarly system is very close to the clock speed of like 3 gigahertz, and similarly like a teraflops of the disk capacity, and you can just get through. Need not www.linux.org, from there you can easily extract, you can easily install. Various other methods which are there. We can easily download from the God internet directly to our system, then you can archive that one, or else you can go with like a patches of that one, or you can get one from the jukeboxes in which which are available, and similarly you can get from the God internet. Various other methods of installation process which are there. If time permits, I touch upon all the things, and similarly what are all the basic level of the commands which are going to be available to us. See, usually what will happen, the exploring knowledge of the Linux file system. If you see the Windows environment file system is like a mother god, like a C drive, and then automatically we can go with like a various type of virtual drives, D, E, F, J up to Z. But here is the level of the file system having like an inverted tree, just a slash, it's a root. Then under that one, you can find out where exactly user environment is different, file environment is different, disk environment is different, and in which way the software which are going to be enhanced, software which are going to be installed and make use an application oriented, correct? Now, we can place appropriately. The file system, what it means to say is, suppose if you have a building, how we can make a partition for keeping an items, correct? No, like that way, you have to make use some sort of standard level of the command line utility, then automatically the file system having like a, for the user management and the disk management, and similarly you can go for how we can execution of various other type of an application program. And there you can identify a temporary level, similarly partition level, you can find out in which way the virtual level, you can find out main memory level, various other. But ultimately, you can find out what are the administration which related and the advanced installation procedure. Very, very easy. You can get a complete packages in the form of, which comes with like a level of 4 or 5 compact disks today, or else you can get from the a simple link or the shortcut levels of the information from the what we are using in a pen drive. You can just get through the links, then immediately you can get back the link like a www.linux.org, www.ldp.org. LDP in the sense Linux Developmental Project. I'll tell you what are all the links which are going to be available. And ultimately, once you would like to make use for the environment of, as like in which we are seeing this prompt like a C, but here also there should be a different type of a cells are available. Cell in the sense in which way the user directly interact with the OS environment. Then there should be a different type of a cell. Corn shell is there, C shell is there, barn shell is BOURN, barn shell is there. But ultimately, overall, you can see that one, we are getting an environment of that one to. These are the information I would like to discuss. And is it how the flow of an initialization of. But what we are observing, once you just click on the environment of the OS of any Microsoft Bill Gates product like a Windows, Macintosh OS, whatnot, the different type of OS, what we are observing like a graphical user interface is entirely different. That graphical user interface, like a C graphical user interface of the C programming, object-oriented programming concept. But especially, we can find out the level of the graphical user of the motif and the X window. That is a graphics library which are available fluently. Exclusively different type of a set of a graphical library which are available. I'll give an example in which way the Jurassic Park movie, Jurassic Park movie having an animal like a Zuri. Correct? In that one, there's a one system is there. That is a product of the Iris, a company from the Tata Elxsi. Tata Elxsi, they have a product called the IRIX, but the operating system is IRX once again. But that is once again the proprietary level system. Similarly, you can take like a IBM workstation. You can take SCO. You can take the workstation which is Macintosh. These are all the company and they have their own proprietary level machines. But the environment which is freely available. But in all cases, the environmental library and the graphical user interface library, but ultimately, especially in case of multics, physics, and the UNIX environment, what we are getting, Linux, the X window system, a graphical library, especially in which we can manage the various type of processors. See, any sort of an interaction which are going to be take place from the user to the system, there should be a command. Ultimately, it will take a state of an information that is a process. Suppose I would like to link HTTP www.amazon.com, then www.google.com. Then there should be a process. We can call it a HTTP. It's a protocol, a set of rules and the procedure which are available for governing reliable data. There should be a daemon process executing. Otherwise, impossible to run HTTP. There should be HTTPD daemon process. Similarly, in which way you can go for, suppose, you can get in the form of a physical level of a printing, and you can make use in which way the printing service scanner. Similarly, you can make use like a fax machine, in which way you can easily manage who are all the users are working, at what time they logged in, how you can trace out. These are the all sort of an information which are available. And similarly, the categorically you can find out a different user levels in the OS. The one is a common user, we can make a team, then is a group, then in which which are going to be manageable, any sort of a file, any sort of an object which are going to be created and destroyed, with the help of a great super user, we can say administrator. And similarly, if any sort of a files or the folders which are available, how we can make sure a compression? Because today you can see once you're sending for the information from the Yahoo mail, similarly, a lot of restriction. How best way you can use it with various type of a compression. We are observed like on the real time, like Windows, like a WinZip, RAR is there. But comparatively, this type of a compression which are going to be overload, a tape archive is there, gunzip is there, various type of a compression type of a environment we can easily absorb from the Linux environment. And the backup, rely on that one, in which way something goes wrong due to the electronic communication and interaction. We have to be set up with the help of a standard level of the commands which are available. And similarly, suppose additionally, we can go with any sort of an application oriented possible, and how best way can make a troubleshoot. Today, I can give a standard level of a bugging environment and the flow of the information still on Windows 2010. You can easily identify, correct? No, suppose I'll give in which way the flow of an information which are going to be destroyed from the recycling bin. If any sort of an information which is so important to me on 24th November, I can't able to get once it's supposed to be recycling bin. But only thing is in which way can get back. These are the type of commands which are available with the help of a performance monitor. And ultimately, because a system is available to us, how we can gather and share the information. These are the things I would like. Ladies and gentlemen, see in which way once you come across the environment of the Linux, we started there a trip of a journey later 1980s. But before that one, we have a clear trademark, the UNIX environments, the operating system. What it says, providing an interaction to the user to a system, correct? Now, initiated 1960s, 1970s later, the group of the people, American Telephone Telegraphy, and later the employees in which way they started understanding the flow. A great person like Ken Thompson, the Dennis Ritchie, Douglas, correct? No, these are the fellows, they give a highly profitable information and which are going to be vendors. But they started with only like a proprietary level. And later, which are popular. Today, even I can give an example like a Parampadma supercomputer, which is going to be flow on the Multics and the POSIX and the UNIX environment only, not the Linux. That is once again a proprietary. That's why only you have to spend a lot of money in terms of crore together. Today you see that National Aeronautical Lab, ISRO, DRDO, in which way they used to use. You have to spend a lot of money because in which way the data flow which are going to be venture on that one. But what we are observing on the other end is a completely freeware and the shareware and available freely. But you can observe one to another. The commercial starts up, correct? No, initiated the UNIX environment, which influence very clearly understanding the level of the flow one to another, in which we can make use multi-programming. What is the concept of multi-programming? We have a Fortran program 77, Fortran 4, C, Java, and you can observe like ADA. You can just go through today Python programming, C++ programming. These are the multiple level of a programming language. Is it possible? In case of the Windows environment, you have to make use of independent compiler. But ultimately today what Linux is going to be support such a way that from the Fortran 77, Fortran 4, today in which way the Python, the latest level of a programming language ultimately providing for the research and development activities, we can gain various innovative ideas, characteristic features in which we can understand both a modular programming concept, graphical user ideas, as well as object-oriented programming, and you can just go like logical ideas which are there. Everything is possible from the Unix, then followed by the Linux environment. But keep in mind, Unix is basically the proprietary, license-oriented. You have to spend a lot of money. In order to maintain, you need a very evacuated chamber, you need a very good UPS, you need a very good level of the highly maintainable AC. But ultimately, what we are using like a Linux environment, nothing. We can execute a dual OS. We can make sure such a way that if you have a system of like a very closely environment like 8 GB or the 16 GB of RAM of a system and a teraflop of a hard disk, we can make use like a dual OS. One is on Windows partition, another one is on Linux. That is the level. Ladies and gentlemen, if you see that one, the history milestone of initiated 1970s, the family which very clearly provide an extensive knowledge of the BSD. BSD is basically Berkeley Software Distribution Family. Cunningham Ritchie, in which way they develop and given a very clear picture about the Unix environment. Then later, one to another, see the Sun OS, Sun Solaris. Today, what we are using like a Java programming started only on the Sun Solaris environment. Why? There should be a big question mark in front of us, because the Java execute only the minimum level of the data relays 32 bits, which were there on Sun Solaris, but none of the other systems. Later, which move on to the Pentium, correct, in which we are using today, whatever the system, the PCB, printed circuitry board support, correct, now what we are using more than 32. That's why Java we can ready to execute at present, later in which with the 32 bits programming of the data relay. Here you see, observe, the Unix is basically like a time sharing system, initiated Bell Labs, and you can observe like a GNU project, a general public license project available to anybody. There is no restriction. Any sort of anybody, a great a personality, you can say Linus Torvalds created an environment Linux, a number of flavors, Minix, hundreds, correct, no, in which way you can identify. But HP, once again, Hewlett Packard, correct, no, they have their own standard level. Still, you can see that one like a Unix, IBM iX, correct, no, IX, because one to another, they have their own different type of a proprietary level, license oriented. In order to go for the workstation of the IBM, then you have to go today like a 5 lakhs above that one. Similarly, if you go for the workstation of this Macintosh OS, you have to go like in which way the application type of that one. But these are the Unix, the Multics and the POSIX environment. Overall, complete dominated from the Linux environment. See, this GNU project published, correct now, announced, great Stallman Richard, given a very clear picture about later 1984. And we started for the initiated in which way you can make it for the CC compiler, GCC compiler, GNU. That's why GCC. GCC stands for GNU Standard C Compiler. Text editor, edit, you can just go through in which we can find out the different level of the interaction of the cell programming concept available. What sort of the opportunity which are available to us, which are in the basis of, correct, no, providing one to another with the graphical user interface of a library X Windows system. But keep in mind, there should be a hardcore of the kernel, which provides a device drivers. Suppose I would like to go for getting the information from the Wi-Fi, getting the information from the Bluetooth, getting the information from the sensor device. How can it be possible to just sense, find out? There should be a different type of a, correct, no, the level of the script which are going to be enhanced because of the kernel which itself only taken, the hardcore of that one. But these are the information, intention of the GNU. What we are observing, like a compilers are available, various compilers are there with respect to different programming languages, text editors are there, Unix cells are available like that. But highly, you have to be hats off, a great applause for a great person in which way dominated, a great scholar, a creator, an innovator, none other than Linus Torvalds. A Linux kernel, he has given a very clear picture about how we can make sure such a way that the level of the GNU standard, which are going to be enrich a knowledge with respect to the compiler, with respect to the text editor, with respect to the any sort of an application, with respect to the database application, whatnot, we can make use. Today, we can easily dominate. Although we can find out a different level of flavors are available, one to another. You can easily, suppose we need a Red Hat, www.redhat.com. If you need a like a Turbo Linux. If you go with a Mandrake, then you can just choose corresponding, in which way you can just get into the website and you can, through that one, you can get lot of information, download to the local machine, and you can extract those information, we can go with an easy steps. Need not worry about that one. Something goes wrong also, we can press F1, we can get a lot of abstract which are available, we can make sure that one. One of the important aspect of the OS, correct? No, without kernel is basically hardcore. It provides an extensive knowledge interface between in which the set of instruction package which are going to be executed from the software, and similarly in each way you can understand the hardware information. The kernel is a central component, hardcore component, providing both a communication between a software as well as it acts like a intermediary. It acts like a orbit between the software and the hardware. We can say that now which are going to be cope up the level of the programming, the processing, inter-process communication, memory interaction, interrupt level, in which way the peripheral interaction, in which way the system calls which are going to be UPC, in UNIX to UNIX communication protocol strategy, IPC, in which way inter-process communication which are going to be, in which way the remote process communication which are going to be taken, RPC, IPC, everything which are cope up with only because of the mediator of the hardcore kernel. Without that one, impossible. Anyway, in order to get through that one, suppose we are very strong in information of in which we are presently using, just use a simple command called uname -a. It will give a very, very clear information about the kernel. Uname -a. Because uname is a command we can easily execute in any flavor of the Unix environment. -a, it will give a very clear picture about what is an architecture of that one, what level of the layer approaches we can easily, in which way the simple Python programming like that here also, we can get very clear information about the kernel. And as like Windows, just in which way the update flow of an exchange went on through that from Windows 95, 98, 2000. But here you can see a distribution like a flavors, different flavors, given a family better than Unix-like operating system, comprise, have their own, correct? No, ultimately, we take in the form of like a overhead to the GNU and come with their own level of the supporting a set of instruction packages, and in which way the desktop supporting. We have a two different, one is like a common desktop, you can call it as CAD, common desktop environment, GNU standard environment, are different. It's more or less same in which what we are observing in case of the Windows environment, like that we can observe in case of K desktop, similarly GNU desktop environment, common desktop environment, and similarly another one. Those are the graphical user interface which are available on the Linux distribution. Keep in mind, ones which are going to be booting from the floppy, that means to say nowadays no floppy, which were initiated from the floppy disk, like a 3.3 1/4, similarly 5 1/4. Now we are not finding those things, but only thing is in which we can go for that one floppy through that one in order to maintain the privacy, in order to maintain the super user level. Before a system is come with like a post method, power on self test, then immediately test to go to the CMOS setup. Then you have to be just say that is going to be a bootable floppy, which were there. Now you need not worry, everything which are destroyable, absolute, you can find out easily without any problem, ultimately always welcome, which we can see that one, a number of flavors are available, number of distributions are available. One is a CentOS, what we are using for any sort of an application, Debian, Fedora, Gentoo, Napix, Mandrive, Linux, Red Hat. See, in order to get any sort of a knowledge with respect to any distribution and any flavor, just use www.centos.com. That's all. Similarly, www.debian.com, www.fedora.com. We can get a complete documentation, and it will provide a very clear information about how we can install, how we can go for patches, how we can go for update, how we can updating the kernel, everything which are in a documentation, PDF, as well as in which we can understand the flow of an information, everything is available. Just get into the website and beginning it itself only. If you need to be understand like www.linux.org, similarly followed by www.ldp.org. Linux developmental projects, which are once again enhancing various type of flavors, have their own features. But one important what we observe, like a cell especially in case of a multis, POSIX, and the UNIX operating system, which provide an interaction opportunity, correct? No? Which acts like an interface between a user and the system. We have it, various type of it. In order to find out, correct? No, dollars prompt, we can get a percentage prompt, we can get a hash prompt, a different type of hash prompt is basically a super user. Hash prompt is basically for the super user, administrator, root, who is going to be managed, who is going to be manage various objects, creating a user, creating a file, creating any sort of a folder, and the permittivity, the privacy, which only from the super user, correct? No, that is a hash prompt. Similarly, it's a dollar is a common to everybody. But here you can find out like a compatibility of the C shell, like the programming concept, standard shell, which easily represent a Linux system. Similarly, written by various, correct? No, in which way? There is, we can easily, the freely available Berkeley standard distribution system, which way the build joy given a C shell like that, where there is no restriction. You can think about your own scripts and you can contribute. One shell, standard shell, and many proprietary level of Unix system, and similarly, powerful successor to the Unix like a Barn shell is there, a remote call, especially shell. And similarly, you can find out T shell, it's a turbo, ZSH. These are the various type of shells which are available to everybody. You can just get through that one. And today, we can find out only the Bash shell, BASH shell. Bash is nothing but Bash to any shell which are exist from the multis, from the POSIX, from the Unix environment. BASH is a Barn again shell that given ultimately you can execute like a CSH. You can change any sort of a shell. You can change any sort of a finger details, profile of the user who are all going to be created. You can use like command called a CSH, changing shell, CFN, changing finger from the bash prompt. And of course, that is ultimately given an extensive knowledge today what we are using. You can take in any flavor, any distribution of the Linux environment, give all sort of the emulation environment, all sort of like a simulation environment of the flow, and which are available freely, correct? No, ultimately, suppose we would like to copy flow of an information from the Windows environment to the virtual OS, similarly virtual OS environment to the Linux, correct? No, you need not to be just get through and stuck up. You can make use that those levels of the standard simulation and this standard level of the emulation tools available from the POSIX. And we can say, think about today, if you get into the environment is there, how we can observe like a multi-programming, multitasking, tasking in the sense, how we can editing, go running, go executing, go printing, go, how, what level of the program, you can open n number of windows, there is no restriction at all. But one thing you have to be very cautious, any sort of an interaction which are going to be take place from the user, they should be case sensitive. Any command which are going to be executed in front of the bash shell, in front of the user interaction, it's a case sensitive. But in order to manage, suppose you are in home, would like to make use the environment of a multi-program, multitasking, multi-user, multi-processing environment of your institution in your home, then you can execute using a remote login facility. It's a SSH. So once again, you can call secured socket host client. You can enter because we have an idea what is the machine address which is executed and the server is running in the institution, and you can download this type of a software. We are running, executing in our home like a laptop or a desktop using Windows, execute, then you can enjoy the facility like in which way. You can. Similarly, telnet is there, telling to the net, how we can just go through the facility which are available. These are the different. But what are all the specific commands? We mentioned very clearly the kernel is act like a mediator between the software, mediator between the hardcore kernel, in between one to another. We have a setup date, print a set the system date and the time. Suppose in order to go for setting the time, which way the levels of that one. Imagine in order to find out your birthday, 900, 500 years and later like a 5,000, 9,999 also, you can get that level of a miracle of the programming approaches, because in which way it's created level you can find out. Like a CAL calendar is a command once again, CAL followed by like a 5,000, followed by like a 9,999, cal like a 500. You can find out in which way the flow and the miracle which are going to be happen from the system itself. Similarly, print the kernel message buffer. How much buffer which is available? Is it possible to just make use for the purpose of various other application? The message application related command. Remove a message queue. Suppose in order to make use for the different type of a doubling application, then you can make use IPCRM. Similarly, semaphore. This once again a very standard. If you in order to go for shared memory ID specification, how we can create a parent and child option, correct? No deadlock option, and is it possible to set up with the help of semaphore? Similarly, inter-process communication facilities, which are in between one to another, multiple number of the hardcore hardware devices which are interacting. Similarly, which are going to be set up with a set of instruction of a software packages with the help of IPCS, inter-process communication strategies. UNAME, I told you very clearly, like a UNAME, which provide an extensive knowledge of complete statistics about what is the kernel architecture, what level of the upgradation, and how the dual setup of that one. Everything you can make use by command. See, keep in mind, any command, I don't know anything also, you can just use a man followed by a command, man followed by a command. Man is nothing but a manual. It will give a very clear picture about, mind it, impossible to read and understand that level of a literal information, literature information which are available for any command on the UNIX and Linux environment. And you can easily learn. If I don't know where I start, need not worry. You can start from A, alert, assert. How we can just go with a hut. Similarly, Z, zinc, zeal. Different command. You can go one to another like A, man, alert. Immediately will take you how which are going to be linked from one to another, and you can understand the flow of that one. Suppose if you generally, if you are going to be managed, and you can make use for how to manage a files system, how to manage like a disk system, how to manage a folder system, you can make use convert and copy a file, disk dump. Similarly, in order to find out how the directory name which are going to be available, any sort of any information which are going to be echo, correct? No, in which the broadcast, echo is basically called a broadcast message. Environmental, see, in order to find out environmental variables like setting a prompt, setting a color, setting a home directory, setting a different type of a color palettes, correct? Now we can make use of environmental variables. Just a funny thing, we can find out nearly more than 100 environmental variable. Just to make an env command, you can find out one to another more than 100 environmental variables which are going to be displayed any Linux environment. Similarly, what type of file is this one? Determine, suppose we have a file, you see, observe, any of the OS, any of the application, any of the industry, any of the institute today, they produce only two types of a category of file. One is called a binary, another one is an ASCII. Binary in the sense, you have to make use a compatible type of a software packages, then only you can execute. Suppose .exe is a binary file. You can make use like a Turbo C compatible device, correct? No, later. Similarly, what we are going to be use an editor, Word file, PDF related, we can make use of compatible software, correct? What we can easily observe through our eyes, understand the alphabets, Arabics, whatever it may be. The file is called the ASCII file, American Standard Code for Information Interesting. But similarly, which getting from the input of a ASCII, finally we can get a generating object file, then those files are called binary files. You can say, if you use a file corresponding in order to understand, it will give it's a binary or an ASCII. Similarly, run a command with immediate correct hanger. Suppose some sort of a problem which happened. We are opening like a multiple number of a terminal. TTY is like a terminal type. If something goes wrong, we need not use like a Control-Alt-Delete. Just you can open another terminal, just type the command called TTY, just you go with like which corresponding, just use a command called PS, process status. It will give the process status PSEML, then you can kill the corresponding process. That automatically how we can come out from the hanging status. CSH, a standard I mentioned like a shell, worm shell, which ultimately carry the flow of an information from the C shell, from the bomb shell, and finally the bash shell also. Print how long the system is going to be running, correct? Now, suppose we have 1,000 locked together lines of a course of you would like to print, correct? Now, you can set up a time period, uptime, how you can go for setting it. But especially if you go for how we can easily managing different type of a process, how we can just exhibit distribute a different type of a managing of a task, then you can make use of a different type of a command. Periodic command scheduler. Similarly, at what time this particular schedule has to be executed at command. Similarly, if you go for changing system root directory, you can think about child processes, how a parent and the child process status of an information which are available. But one of the important of the process of the task management, like a cron table, a file editor, so any sort of a things which are going to be happen, changes which are going to be take place on the physical system, then you can easily identify how the partition table, cron table, that is one important process management of that, how we can. Similarly, daemonic interface to the daemon init. You start from init 0, init 1, init 2, init 3, up to init 7 you can proceed. It will give very clear. You have to go with like a single mode, multi-mode, user mode, correct? No, like that way. We have a different type of initialization of a process. Similarly, interactive and cursors, different cursor strategies of the process, how which are going to be executed. I told you one to another, like a send a signal process, a multi-level. Similarly, single user level, how we can go for terminating. Then user kill corresponding -9. -9 is a parameter followed by a process ID. You can easily kill. And in order to understand, I don't know which process I would like to be killed or would like to be terminated. Need not worry, the kill automatically. This time is going to be coming to the open session. We can just go for what the task we are going to be. Similarly, nice is once again how you can set up the priority of the various type of a process one to another. Nice command. A run option. Similarly, grep, programmable. The process global regular expressions. Find PIDs of the process by name. That means to say process PIDs global regular expression. Similarly, you can just get through the different type of a GNU Linux equivalent. Then you can use a PID. See what will happen if you have a username. Then username having correct no with a login and the password. If you say password, password is a folder, password is a command. Sorry, password is a command, and password is once again a file, which comprises a level of various type of an entities. Login, username, password, then followed by user identification, where exactly location, which cell. This is a single record of user, like that the multiple number of user, which are always stored in a single file called etc password, but which are once again. Similarly, in order to see that one, report process status, how we can see the process status of that one, how we can just make use a priority of the, and in order to, we are in the idle status, we can make use a sleep command, and how the time command is going to be executable, time X, and which one is going to be the dynamically residing process, and how long you're going to wait. Because any type of a command, correct now, which are going to be initiated, which are going to be stalled, correct now, you can find out the process status. Each and every command, correct now, instantly have their own process ID. Without that one, impossible. Suppose you would like to run fire a job for printing, there should be LPRD. Printing daemon should be executed. Then only you can print, otherwise impossible, like that way. And similarly, how we can go for user management, change user cell. I told you very clearly, suppose beginning, super user, root, created a cell, kern cell. Similarly, in order to change CH, we can't change to X. I can change to my own cell. Only the super user can change any cell, but user to use. That's why only the various level of the privilege, the privacy, security is very, very. So once you go for executing this type of a command, it will ask a password. How we are going to be edit. This file is going to be updated. Then immediately it asks for details of that one, phone entries or address entries, everything you have to give. Similarly, once it's over, correct? No, the information flow which are going to be changed, finger. In order to see where all the users are working, what their identity, what is the phone number, correct? Everything, use a command called finger. ID. See, any login, any user have their own entities called like user identification, group identification. Login ID, password, UID, GID, user details, where the location allocated, similarly which cell. These are the complete entities of the record. Similarly, show listing the last login. Suppose today we executed like a 240 commands. I don't know which command I executed at 2 o'clock, 2:30. Need not worry. Tomorrow you come and just execute a last, it will give a last command. Similarly, in order to see which are all the commands executed, history, HISTORY, it will give a complete picture about. Even though we can't just misuse, we can't just malfunction, say, I don't know, myself not executed. System, it will tell you very clear. We can easily make use a trace. We can easily track. Everything is possible in the multi-thread environment. And similarly, last log, who had been the user, work done, at what time they logged in, what time, what type of a task executed, everything is possible. And similarly, how we can locate a flow of an information. Most of them are used to say Python informations are not available. Java programming related stuffs are not, need not worry. Locate, locate, Java C, Java, locate, GCC, will give a complete specific information of that one. Definition which relate. Similarly, how we can find, and man, I told you very clearly, man browser. In order to see any sort of a user management command, any sort of a disk file management command, file management command, and complete system management command, use a command called man followed by a particular like CHSH, I don't know, man can, like that. Similarly, how we can, here also we can go with like a one-to-one communication, one-to-many communication, many communication. Suppose you would like to send message X to Y user, then MESG command you can make use. Control write to the, how we can just send AX from the X user terminal to the Y user terminal message, and we don't like that one, then MESG -N automatically don't deny a message from the user. Similarly, password -C. These are the different type of various type of user commands available to us. Similarly, some of the important how we can make use a super user. See, one thing is very important. If you go for multics, POSIX and UNIX and super user Linux environment, a user forget the password, no problem. Super user can easily give, but super user forget the password, ultimately no other way. You have to be very cautious. One important aspect of a super user should remember ever until upgradation of the Unix environment or Linux environment. If something goes wrong, we can't. Golden. Once they initiated like a red hat, no, is possible. You can just chunk out. You can enter through the Linux 1, 2, 3. It's possible to change a single user mode, but impossible. Once you install a complete a super user password, the root password, the administrator password, you have to be remember ever, because root user and the administrator and he can able to manage successfully do any type of a task which are for the purpose for the file management to user management to disk management to memory management, whatnot we can see. Similarly, you can go with like, suppose in order to go from one user to other user, sudo command, sudo. Suppose you are a X user, then sudo Y, then automatically you can get into the other user, provided there should be a permission from the super user, there should be a permission from users. Similarly, what is, I don't know what are the information which related to the attribute, then what is, where is. These are the different type of how we can easily understand the information in an insight manner, correct? No? In the system, we can make it where is, what is, which is, and who are all the users are working, who am I. We can easily distinguish find out at what level they logged in, everything is possible. Similarly, in order to manage file system, I told you very clearly, there should be an inverted tree. You can find out home, overall the user comes under the home. Similarly, if you go with like any sort of a configuration, network configuration, no, printer configuration, no, fax machine configuration, no, video configuration, correct, whatever which are going to be go for comes under etc file. Similarly, suppose any sort of a temporary, like that way we can find out a number of folders which in the form of inverted structure, slash followed by a number of files, folders which are there. You can call it as a file system, information to understand, in order to find in which way the file system info, man, once again, documentation. Similarly, how we can change the file attributes. That means to say, you can use on the environment of the Windows like attribute, which are going to be like executable, readable, writable. Here also, you can use ch attribute. Similarly, change group. A person who is working on the project on the image processing, a project. Similarly, person working on the network, person working on the machine learning, correct? How we can change a group from one new team to another team. Then you can use a command called change group, change mode, read, write, execution mode, read for the 4, write for the 2, execution for 1. You can make use of an octant value. Change mode 777 to all, then automatically complete full permission, full privilege permission to the user, group and other. These are the various type of a classification categorically, correct? In which way, overall the user, what sort of a classification, you can get through that one, various command. Change mode, change owner, you would like to change the ownership from machine learning group to the deep learning, machine learning group to the, like in which way the design of machine, correct, whatever it may be. How we can going to be create a team or a project, we can change from the change owner. Similarly, CD, changing directory, we might become across CD double dot, CD slash CD without anything. We have a different type of an innovation, different type of an idea, different type of a message we can get from in front of the prompt. Similarly, copy, how we can make a duplication. COPY is equivalent to CP here. And similarly, DF, how we can find out what is the level of the free space available in the disk. For that, you can make use of DF minus K in terms of kilobyte, DF minus M in terms of megabytes, and by default, it will take always like a megabyte. Similarly, comparison. We have like a XYZ folder, we have like a ABC folder, you can make a comparison, directly compare it, DAR, CMP. Similarly, what is the level of the disk usage on the particular file system, DUA slash, then it will give a complete in terms of what is the megabits per second or gigabits per second. Similarly, how we can make a remove duplicate file within a directory. For that, you can make use F loops. And suppose I don't know where exactly the location of some of the standard like MATLAB related, mathematical related, statics files related, whatever it may be, in order to work for the programming. If you know the complete pattern, then you can use a command called find, search for a file through a directory hierarchy. It will go. You can use find dot from the root slash from the home directory. Let's say different. Then you can find out. These are the various. Any command always follows with, endorsed with a number of arguments. You can make sure minus followed by a number of arguments you can pass. Similarly, support in order to go with like a shortcuts, the file is, this is very, very important, ln. Suppose the compiler will automatically store maximum space. In a class, each and every user, if you are going to provide, automatically ultimately carry more level of a disk space. That's why I can use a command ln gcc slash followed by fifth semester CSE. Then automatically that is going to be given execution permission to all users. Anybody can make use the corresponding compilation. Let's say ln is a link one file directly to another, multiple. Instead of allocating disk space to every user, we can provide a shortcut with a command called ln. Least directory contents, ls-el, ls-r recursively, how you can find out. Similarly, list file attributes and a Linux second. Correct? Now you can find out many options. And how we can manage various type of utilities through that one. Suppose folder creation, make directory, MD directory, MD command, which is equivalent. Similarly, make FIFO, how we can just a level of each and every command acts like an output, correct? Now, that particular output of a command acts like an input for the next command. Like that way, you can ls minus al, then you can grep corresponding username, corresponding file name. That means ls minus al. These are nothing but a piping command. Is it possible? And also, suppose how we can mount a file system. The plug and play, physically, a pen drive, Zoom boxes, video camera, whatever it may be. How we can just find out logically which are available. We can get through a command called mount file system. And similarly, how we can move a rename file, correct? No? That means to say copy is duplication, move is completely renaming. That means to say there is no exist, correct? No? Automatically taking in a different move is once again how it's going to be renamed. Rename is equivalent to the move. Similarly, PWD, what are the strategies of the presently working directory, currently working directory, and in which way you can go for removing a file, removing a number of files, having the same number of options, removing a directory, and similarly how we can read link, and similarly how we can go for removing a directory. Suppose how we can make for modification with the time with a command called touch. Similarly, what are all the observation in order to understand the level of a tree structure, tree. Just anywhere else you are available, just use a command called tree. It will give a clear tree structure of the any file, any folder, wherever it may be available, you can find out. Similarly, how we can remove a file with the help of system call, we can use unlink. And some of the standard level of a compression archives, I told you very clearly, like Windows support only like a WinZip RAR. But here you can find out various type of a level of a compression, and similarly like archives also compatibility with a superset of CPIO, copy input output related functionalities, archive. Suppose if we have like a megabytes capacity, gigabytes capacity audio video, you can make use what is the level. You can take a simple analysis, take an x-axis, take an y-axis. If you have a file size in terms of audio, in terms of video, in terms of a text file, then you can go for making use of AR, making use zip, making use compress, making use WinZip, making use R. Which one is the most percentage of the efficiency? You can find out easily analysis of that one. Similarly, block starting. If you go with like how we can, because the file category you can say one is called a character oriented file, block oriented file, link oriented file, ordinary file. There are different type of file categories of here. What we are observing the information in case of like suppose a block structures which are available in order to manage any type of a block structure compression, then you can use like a bzip2. Similarly, compress is once again a command. It ultimately go with like a 50% of compress. Compress in order to get the original strategy, you can use a command called uncompress. Similarly, you can go with a gzip. Once again, another type of a compression technique, and gunzip, gun-zip. In order to get back the original, you can use a gunzip, compress, uncompress like that. These are the, in which way you have like a pack, unpack, compatibility on the various other environment like that we can find out. Like here, gzip, compress. So one more is there, capital Z also. Once you create a file with using a compress, then automatically that file extension is always come with like a capital Z. In order to destroy that capital Z, then you can use uncompress. Similarly, POSIX and tape archive, because in order to tar minus TVF, tar minus XVF, tar minus CVF, are different. How we can copy the whole setup, how we can see the list of the contents of the archive environment, how we can just make an extension, all the things we can tape archive. Similarly, zcat, this is very, very important. Suppose in order to see, cat is basically a command, we can see the contents of the file as like in which way, like type followed by file name in Windows environment of a DOS. Similarly here, cat followed by, but if it's a compressed one, if you say any sort of a compress, it's a binary once again. In order to be that particular zcat, because Z is once again, it will say very clearly, compress file, how we can make archive file, how we can see, for that we use a zcat. Java, once again, this is a standard level of a scanning and processing language. We mentioned very clearly, like programming language like Ada, Pascal, Fortran, C, C++, Java programming, and today what you are seeing like object-oriented programming, a Python paradigm also. You can easily. And similarly, in order to get a banner, complete banner, you can use a banner which creates input string and print a large banner. Suppose would like to make welcome, then banner welcome. Ultimately, www bigger have their own sense of that one. You can make use of options also in color combination, banner minus W this color, E different color like that. Every command, a multiple number of arguments are available. Concatenation of files to standard output. That means to say, suppose you have multiple number of files are available. You can cat followed 1.c, 2.c, then star.c. Ultimately, it's going to be concat in a single file. Similarly, how we can make use for CRC, standard level of a checksum error, which are available once you transferring file from one location to another location, one source to another target. Then you can find out using SCK sum. Similarly, compare two files in terms of bytes comparison x1, y1, x2, y2. Similarly, remove section from each line and correct now in order to see these are the particular columns to be displayed. For that, use a cut command. Similarly, difference between one file to another file. Similarly, egrep, once again, grep, extension of global regular expression. Grep is global regular expression. In order to extend, in order to simplify, you can use a file grep as well as egrep. How you can go with like a wrapping each input of a lines which are going to be fit in within a single frame. Then you can use a fold. And similarly, how you can go for pattern grep and head and tie. Once again, these are the different type of how we can manage a text processing. Suppose in order to a documentation, we are not in a position to see, then you can make, at a time you scroll continuously, correct? Now, in order to see particular page of that one, just you can command called more, page by page. You can just press carriage return or the space bar, automatically you can go one by one. Similarly, fixed width, similarly how we can find out like a UNIX typesetting, and similarly stream editor, because of stream editor, once again, which way you can make use for input and the output stream editor. And ultimately, like if you go for a bigger file, I would like to see the starting of the file, the ending of the file, tile command, you can use head command, you can use, and similarly you can decode the various version. But keep in mind, a multiple number of text editors are available on this Linux. See, if you see the editor, like a notepad editor, paintbrush editor, whatever the editor compatibility in Windows environment, correctly edit, DOS editor, Windows editor, but we can find out in which way user can easily understand. They can go through the GNU Emacs editor, freely programmable full screen editor with a proper command, Joe editor, Job editor, Pico editor, Pine editor, VA editor is once again a command line editor. And always you have to go with like in which way in order to execute a files, so folders. So if you are very strong mastering VI, you can just do a wonderful work and you can execute a program within the VI mode itself. Another like a Pico. Similarly, in order to go for the related internet programming, you can use a Pine editor, PINE, Pine editor is there. And coming to the communication, suppose in which way it are going to be managed, various type of files which are available from one location to another location, FTP, file transfer protocol. In order to download from existing file down where exactly the download servers are available, especially like www.redhat.com, FTP anonymous corresponding, you can use redhat.com. Then you can just enter a login anonymous, enter your email ID, then ultimately it will give the prompt. You can just go for the LS, you can see the folder, you can find out. Similarly, secure FTP, you have to just go through open. Who is the user? You have to make an entry, just you have to give an authentication authorization. You have to maintain a complete confidentiality. Similarly, you have to maintain availability for the SFTP, simple or secured file transfer protocol. Another one is the SFTP and TFTP also, Trivial File Transfer Protocol. Similar network file system. See, file system of Windows is different from here, which is looks like a file system, but in which we can manage. We have like a Linux 1, Linux 2, Linux 3. You manage in a single all user environment. You can just make a share to one another for making use of various type of resources, application or image processing, related graphical user information in one file system. Similarly, in which way the related of a project which are available in another file system. These are all NFS, Network File System Managing. Open Virtual Private Environment. That means a virtual private network, encrypting flow. Today, which are very, very essential because due to the pandemic situation, we can make sure how we can manage with the help of the NFS, with the help of OpenVPN, and how we can just see the level of the flow, which are going to be much more reliable with the help of various communications, commands, various communication wizards, various communications help supporting knowledge of that. Postfix, once again, mail transfer agents, how we can remote shell, SSH, I told you, secure socket hosting, telnet, which way can make use facility of multi-program, telling to them. Telnet is basically called telling to the network for providing a services. Samba, in which way, which are a different UNIX chassis. Suppose it's a Linux, and another one is a proprietary of the SCO, proprietary of the Macintosh, how we can transfer a file, then we can execute in between Samba, SMB and the client. We can use and execute on the Unix environment. Then you can see the complete virtual environment of the Linux. Similarly, sending mail with the help of like SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol strategies, POP, Post Office Protocol strategies. Talk to another logged in user. Suppose how we can spend time correct. No, in which way we have like a message transaction like that way. A talk window will create. We can just go with like in the, how we can just WhatsApp level of the windows which are going to be created like that way. Talk window which are going to be created, provided both. See, talk and the message which are online services. Please keep in person should be provided online. Similarly, Unix to Unix strategies. You can find out how the utility which are going to be performed in between. And Unix to Unix execution over with the help of Unix to Unix copy protocol. CP, UUCP is once again standard level of a streamlined protocol. And in order to understand most of the steps and most of the information packet relay, similarly how we can just how the packets, a standard level of tools are available. Ethereal. Similarly, how we can find out the protocol analyzer, set of rules of the procedure which are available to understand real flow of an exchange. Then you can make use of protocol analyzer. You can Wireshark. You can find out. And some of the standard cracking software, Jan, the Hyper. Similarly, net statistics. Suppose your system is connected like a Snapdeal, Amazon, and similarly Flipkart to YouTube, whatever it may be. How we can find the strength, how we can find the efficiency of the system, we can make use network statistics with the help of a NET stack. Similarly, pre-port scanning software. Suppose we have like totally 2016 level of the port specification. That means to say 65,536 port. Start from 0 to 65,535. These are the standard port numbers are available. We can call it as reserve ports. In order to understand which port this particular application executing, then we can go to a map. How we can find out the port specification. And similarly, packet sniffer, Solaris, Snoop, and how we can find out the intrusion, especially cybersecurity, hacking, or attacking, can make you the standard level of SNART type of an open source network intrusion detection, which are available. Wireshark, TCP dump, you can find out because we have a two standard level of a protocols, TCP and the UDP, Transmission Control Protocol, and the User Datagram Protocol. Transmission Control Protocol is like a reliable protocol, and UDP is a unreliable protocol, connectionless protocol. In order to understand in which way the flow executing through the TCP IP, both are connection oriented, you can make use with the help of TCP dump. Similarly, the programming tools, especially Mac having Similarly, how which are going to be over bash, CSH, I told already, C shell for executing C. That is the nomenclature of the C shell. Similarly, corn shell, standard shell, which are automatically prioritized and based on in which way the Unix system, the kernel level, Unix level, and we can get through that one. Originally written like some of the remote shell, we can say RC is nothing but remote call. Similarly, SH and TSH, turbo related, ZSH, once again, AWAG and the Perl. Once again, you might become across any sort of an information, practical extract report language, scripting language. Today, what we are saying like a PHP. You imagine, because they initiated flow of an information to the modular programming, to the graphical user programming, to the object-oriented programming, whatnot we can easily get. Even a scripting which are compatible like a Python program today, like a Jupyter or whatnot, Charm which are there, Spider, correct? No, we can easily run execute on that one. How the compatibility because of Python program. And I told you very clearly a number of compilers of any programming, starting from standard general purpose assembly tool AS to C programming, Fortran programming, CC and automatic, correct? No, macro level applications, and today what you are seeing standard. And ultimately, two different, I told you what are all the graphical user interface available. One is a CD, common desktop environment, most commonly which were used in case of any Unix system. Take into consideration like DEC Alpha Unix, SCO Unix, what we have seen in Jurassic IRIX operating system, what we have seen in Sun Solaris, Java programming. Better than that one, we can ultimately, as like in which way the graphical user options are available, like that way, common desktop environment, enriching. Enlightenment, source window manager for the X Windows. Today, like what we are observing a graphical user interface of the Windows is different from what we are seeing on X Windows libraries. And similarly, 95 variants of the modified like Windows 95, how we can just entertain from Windows low-end compatibility, high-end compatibility of the GNU standard of network model environment, ICE window manager, similarly Joy window manager, K desktop environment, KDE environment. These are the various types of a graphical user environment, ultimately which are available in all, beginning from Red Hat, Mandrake, SUSE, then today what Ubuntu, every all. And some of the standard package management, that means how we can just use in order to go with like recovery, restore the information with the help of some of the standard package available freely and the real environment of the Linux like APT, debug configuration, Debian. Suppose some sort of a information which are standard debugger, we can make use like a DPKG. Similarly, front-end configuration utility for Linux environment, we can make use some standard. And the packaging manager, recovery, restore, we can, RPM is restore package manager. And suppose something goes wrong, which patches are not going to be matchable, then we can make use RPM. Similarly, OAST, system initialization with respect to the yet another system termination. Similarly, SUSE standards, front-end user managing services. So these are the various types. But as like in which we can observe like a Windows, level of the browsing, surfing environment like today, like Edge is available, Chrome is available, Internet Explorer, Netscape Navigator, the same level of compatibility with browsing, internet services related browsers. Dialog, E-links are there, and similarly Galeno, links and web links, Mozilla, similarly Opera. But these links, especially links, is basically like a console-based web browser, and links which are going to be text-oriented, which will give. That means to say, if you go with like a graphical user, what will happen? It will take its own time for framing, correct? No? Which are going to be display image, but it can very fast, pretty fast compared to the any other graphical user with the help of links and the links. These are only two different console-based web browser. That means text-oriented. Similarly, how we can just go through compatibility W3M, World Wide Web Consortium, console-based web browser, W3M also, Opera also, standard email level, and desktop publishing. Suppose in order to minimize, in order to optimize the environment which are available, graph, traditional typesetting system. And today, you see how the popularity of the documentation, other than the MS Word, other than the correct now what you are using, the latex ultimately given a standard level of information, how we can make sure a documentation, make a popularity with a simple setting of an environment, correct now typesetting. And you can make use latex, which are compatible easily. Windows also available, but in case of a Linux, you can easily document and the UNIX SQL multi-program. Similarly, printing a file, LP followed by, in which way you can go for publishing a program on desktop, pass or out. Similarly, convert text file to printing. Suppose if file is available, you can get into the form of a printing compatibility. You can use a PR. And similarly, how we can publishing a desktop program and text to TR4. These are the various type of a desktop publishing. Ultimately, databases, because we have come across only Oracle, DB, similarly come across like MS Access, similarly Sybase, POSIX, correct? No, sorry, Focus, Informix. These are once again the license oriented. You have to spend a lot of money. Oracle, correct? No, standard level of a group. But here, everything is available freely, databases, compatible, the freely compatible utility of the software to everybody. DB2, Firebird is there, MySQL is there, in which you can just enter your level of the forms, so filters, so we can easily write Oracle progressive, the level of streamline compatibility, Postgres SQL, similarly software, and SQLite, Sybase, which related, because in which way the industry approaches popularity, which compatible, and you can find out freely open source databases also. And especially for any sort of correlation or regression or mathematical distribution techniques, so standard deviation, correct, no, maxima, octava, or ultimately what we are seeing like a statistical programming language or binary calculator, DC, calendar I told already. Similarly, how we can find out disk calculator, Fortunate, these are. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to find out any sort of enriching knowledge which are available, need not worry, just get into the environment called www.linux.org. In order to understand, still you have to be enhanced knowledge, high performance computing, can just get through. Because for the application today, like a business information intelligence, so which related to how we can just understand the managing of various type of resources, business intelligence aspects. So similarly, how we can understand the program related of the research and the developmental activities, which are all cope up. We can just go through from the system level, software level developmental activities. So programming level, we can just go through Linux SPC, high performance computing, hpc.org. Beginning with www.linux.org, then followed by www.ldp.org. LDP is nothing but Linux Developmental Projects, then followed by Linux HPC. These are all the various type of a program. Similarly, final summary of my complete talk. That means just I have given a simple glimpse of an environment, how you can make use when you are free. Very, very easy. Just you can just get into the environment www. Red Hat Linux, SUSE Linux, Mandate Linux, Turbo Linux, file and file management system. That means to say how we can see the file, how we can change the folder, how we can change the permission from the user file, how we can find out the differences. So what sort of a file, how we can scan a file, how we can link a file, how we can mount a file, how we can move one to another. We can use the strategies of the file and the file system management. Similarly, process, I told very clear at what time this particular process should execute, terminate, idle, become idle, kill the process, cron table, just I told kill all. At what time you have to set this particular and top priority, watch, all these things comes under the process management, various type of a process. You can say file management process, so disk management process, so user managing process, various, each and every, correct? No? User management environment. You can say environment which provide an extensive knowledge of seeing various environmental variables. Example, folder is an environmental variable, prompt is an environmental variable, color setup is an environmental variable. You can see how many number of entries at a time user can see, the history. These are all various. Finger, you can find out the details of the user, ID specification, password, text processing, cell programming, echo. That means to say, in order to find out the clear flow of an exchange of an information in front of the prompt, then cell programming can make use. Similarly, network strategy, network statistics. So ping, ultimately, ping is a very, very important command, and you can find out from this ping www.yahoo.com, ping www.amazon.com, ping www.mec.com. If we have like ac.in, you can find out what is the time complexity is going to be take from your system to the particular server. You can find out with the help of Internet Control Message, ICMP protocol, what is the level of the strength of a packets which are going to be moved, how much time it will take. That is one. Another one is we can easily identify. I don't know what is the address, a logical address of the www.amazon.com. Ping www.amazon.com. We can get an address. That is having an address like 188.6479, correct, which comes under the class C address. We can enter that one. We can find out the address of the logic as well as the time complexity of packets moving from source to destination, like that. Similarly, searching, I told you very clearly, you can find any pattern, you can find any global regular expression, you can find any sort of things. And similarly, bannering, binary calculator, various type of UNIX command. These are all a complete information. That means to say, I say from the UNIX environment, which borrowed from the POSIX, which borrowed from the multics, and even though lot of restriction what we got it from American UNIX, AX from the IBM system, so SCO UNIX from the Santa Cruz, Macintosh, Mac OS, similarly IRIX from the, once again, Indigo, what we have seen from the Jurassic Park movie, similarly Sun Solaris. These are all proprietary workstation, they independent to one another. We have to spend lot of money, but today available flow of an information is freely to everybody. What we are using like Android related, correct? Na? Open source software which in our hand, we can say ultimately the OS is providing extensive knowledge that come from the great scholar of Linux world. We can call it as Linux. That's why I told beginning, Linux having UNIX, UNIX, because first character itself, lifelong Unix. That is an indication for Linux. We have a multiple number of flavors. Multiple number of flavors in the sense, Red Hat. So say today, see Hadoop, without Ubuntu, correct? No, without, where we can execute Hadoop for a MapReduce, for various type of an application which relate big data analytics, correct? No, how ultimately, without Hadoop, impossible. Hadoop, basically, once again, a Linux environment, correct? No, how we can various type of information for our purpose of in which way the God-given enriching knowledge, day-to-day activities one to another is ultimately impossible to in our life. We can gain with all the pains also, and if you are doing with a systematic manner and which are going to be supportive to the society. And I say finally, I'm very thankful to the organizer and the special thanks to the authority of a great secretary and managing trustee, Dr. K. Gunasekaran sir and Dr. M. Mahadeshwaran, principal of the esteemed Muthu Yamal Engineering College, Rasipuram, and respected Professor Dr. K. Ramar, Dean and the R&D, all the members present here. I'm so thankful once again and have a great day. And I open the floor at present. If any sort of a query, always welcome to you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, sir.
It's my pleasure, Professor.
Okay. First of all, I would like to
I don't know how much my
first
time
of all,
I
I
have.
would like to propose.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to propose a vote of thanks to our management, Principal Muttayamal Engineering College Autonomous, who gave the permission and moral support for the smooth conduction of this event. And I express heartfelt thanks to Dr. Mandya sir, Bangalore University, for accepting our request and delivering this wonderful seminar, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And I extended my sincere thanks to our Dean, sir, R&D, Dr. K. Ramar, sir, who acted the backbone of the seminar. And last but not least, thanks to for the wonderful, thoughtful, thanks to participants also. Thank you all.
Mandya sir.
Professor, tell me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your nice presentation.
And
Given very comparison between the Linux and Unix, I'll meet and I'll discuss with you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and send your feedback. Around 111 student participants have participated.
It's my pleasure, Professor. Please.
It's a quite a good number.
Yeah.
So I thank you very much, and I'll call you back.
It's my pleasure,
Thank you,
Professor. I'm very
Thank you
thankful
very
to all the members
Thank you,
present
sir.
for this one. I'm very thankful to you.
Thank you all.
I'll meet Professor. And kindly send the recorded one and the opinion about my talk, please kindly. I look forward.
Yeah, we'll send the feedback to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
I request you send your feedback, the extra feedback about the event, and we have to maintain the document. For document purpose, we need your feedback, sir.
Yeah, okay. Fine, Professor. Please.
Thank you, sir. I will discuss with you.
Thanks a lot for providing a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandya, sir. Thank you for your support.
I'll close.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Participants, kindly fill the feedback form.